All right. So the hat, you complimented the hat. Thank you very much. It was a gift.
That's a great gift.
It was a really, really cool gift from Coach Curtis on the way out of town. So,
Very nice.
Yeah, it was absolutely a cool gift to give. So thank you, Coach Curtis, for that. It's an appropriate hat.
It is. Are we going to pick up or left off or just start over?
No, we're here. We're already recording, my friend.
All right.
So let's
pick up or left off or just start all over.
Oh, so now I'm picking up what you're putting down. So, okay, so let us talk a little bit about that. So I'm pulling up the fights on SureDog right now. So yesterday, you and I tried to make this happen, and the internet in Alaska is sketchy at best. And the roads are sketchy at best, which is kind of why one of the reasons we're not doing this face-to-face right now. So there is a whole other like shitty recording of us kind of doing our fight picks. So you know what? I might just put that up as well.
Let's just start all over and we'll just go with it.
You know what? I think that's a really, really good idea.
It's getting a little choppy, but let's roll with it. First fight of the night, the first dark match of the night.
Yeah, I don't know why this is the first fight of the night, but it looks like it has been changed. Its placement on the fight card has been changed.
Thank God. Where's it at now?
I'm not sure where it is, but it's not at the bottom of the card. He's fighting before Bobby Green. So let's just call it now. It's Andre Arlovsky.
Okay.
But I think that we need
Arlovsky.
to roll. Yeah, well, we need to roll it back a little bit because it moved up from where it was on SureDog yesterday. We are completely skipping over what looks to be the very last fight in the very long career of Roxanne Modaforty.
Roxanne, my hat's off. Great career. Been around for a while, fighting some serious top tier fighters. Yeah.
BJJ black belt. I think that she has a long career ahead of her in grappling competitions, but this sounds like this is the very last fight of her career. And the Happy Warrior is going in against Casey O'Neill, who's 8-0. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Roxanne wins by a submission because she has all of the experience in the world. And I'm sorry, Miss Casey O'Neill, you're a cool cross between Casey Jones and April O'Neil. I'm sure you're a Ninja Turtle and you'll make it back. But this is going to be your first loss, and you're going to take it at the hands of Roxanne Modaforty. No disrespect.
No, nothing to like be sad about. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Losing to a great fighter like that, that loss is nothing to hold your head down.
Nope. I think, you know what? I'm going to say that she's going to come back after this loss, and she's going to go on a title run. There you go. She's probably going to go on a title run.
Nice.
Yep. But this is just going to be her loss.
Yep. Okay. I'll stand behind that one.
Yeah. Just
next one. What do we got?
Next, we're moving on to Andre Arlovsky. Now, when we spoke yesterday, it looked like that was the very first fight on the card, and it didn't make any sense. But according to SureDog today, it is a completely different circumstance, and he is fighting immediately after Roxanne Modaforty against Jared Van Dara. Don't know much about Jared Van Dara. He is 12-6 as a heavyweight versus Andre Arlovsky, who is 32-20. I think that experience is going to play a big part in this.
Okay, I'll call it. He'll win as long as he doesn't try a flying knee.
Man. What do you think are the chances that this Jared guy is going to try and throw that sort of looping right that Fedor threw to knock out Andre Arlovsky? What do you think he tries to do that?
I would.
Oh yeah,
been proven. But mind you, I don't know this guy, and I don't think he has the force behind it that Fedor has with those looping punches that have knocked out many of fighters.
100%. Yeah, I'll give you that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about him. But I do know that this is his opportunity to fight a legend, and so he knows that too.
Yeah, and this could be a serious step in the right direction for him, or it could put Arlovsky, back up on the main card fights.
This is really a fight with, in my opinion, a lot to really think about. So in this, you have Andre Arlovsky. This kind of does have a real impact for Andre Arlovsky's career at this point. If he gets past a guy whose nickname is the Mountain, then he comes into another discussion about, is this a title run for him? He's a heavyweight. He is in his 40s. This is his, if he wants to make a run for it, this is his time to make a run for it. Because if he suffers one of those knockout losses, then I'm gonna go. I'll say that I don't need to see that again, and I hope the game's been good to him. And I'm sure he's not a guy that's hurting for money. He's been doing this for a while. But I would like to see him make this title run. I would love to see that. As a fan, I would love to see Andre Arlovsky 20 years after, I think we're coming on 20 years since he had that belt as the heavyweight champion of the world. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see that story. After Glover Teixeira, I'd love to see that.
I would like to see him get that title shot too, and I hope he's invested his money wise and doesn't pull like a Shoney Carter who's got to fight in bars to make money still.
I know nothing about Shoney Carter fighting in, like, I know that he's been, like, he fought, was doing some amateur stuff, but that was like 10 years, not necessarily amateur stuff, but like local cards and stuff. I know nothing. I didn't know that. Is he on social media? We can look out and like reach out to him. But like, here's the thing. If you're fighting Shoney Carter in a bar, right? Shoney Carter is making his bread, right? He's getting bread to be there. Okay. But somebody else is doing it for $150.
I'm not saying too much details other than Shoney Carter's reached out to somebody we both know about coming down here getting on a card.
You know what? Love to see it. Love to see it. Why not? But going back to this, like going back to Andre Arlovsky, man, I think he takes it. I hope
he bows out. I don't want to see him, fighting on a dark match.
So I'm looking at Jared the Mountain's record, right? And he's got, he's a young guy. He's 29 years old, and as a heavyweight, you're basically like a kid at 29. But yeah, he's got wins over guys like Justin Tafa, and he got to the UFC. It looks like he got through the Contender. And this is what I think makes that interesting. He got there because he beat a guy, he knocked out a guy, TKO, a guy by the name of Harry Hunsucker. No one wants to get beat up by Harry Hunsucker. I say that Harry Hunsucker, who I've never seen fight in my life, can kick my ass, and I know that. All right, so I'd be the guy who gets his ass kicked by Harry Hunsucker, who thought he was trying to be cute. All right, let me clarify that up. Harry Hunsucker can kick my ass. I know it without a question, and I don't know what he looks like. All right, there we go. But nobody wants to get knocked out by Harry Hunsucker. Oh man, you got Hunsucker.
How do you look yourself in the mirror afterwards? Like, Hunsucker knocked you out?
Man, Hunsucker gave you a stiff one.
Hunsucker hung you out to dry, just saying.
Man, That sure sucked. Getting knocked out by Hunsucker. Yeah. So moving. I don't know. I'm gonna go with the veteran on this one. I'm gonna stick with Andre Arlovsky. I think he takes Harry Hunsucker.
Okay.
Not Harry Hunsucker. He takes Jared. I think he takes Jared. And I think Shoney Carter kicks my ass too.
With confidence, huh?
I'll say it with confidence. I'll take it. Like, I know talking about it, like I'll get my ass, like I'll think about it for a second, man. No, let me reconsider that for a second.
Yelling, duck, Bill. Okay, you didn't duck fast enough.
Poor Bill.
Oh.
So moving
All
on.
right, on to the next fight.
Bobby Green versus Nasrat, whose name I did not practice at all. All right. Nasrat 14-3, Bobby Green, the veteran, 28-12-1.
Green all day.
Green all day. Again, this is Nasrat's opportunity, just like Jared's. Okay. And maybe this becomes one of those cards where we learn their names. We're not going to be making any mistakes on their names after this. Nasrat coming out of Hamburg, Germany.
With that being said, Bill, a little side note, go back and watch Francis Ngannou's first fight in the UFC. Listen to Joe Rogan's commentary. He calls him Naganu, Nunu, Namana, cannot pronounce his name at all. At the end, the announcer, Mr. Buffer, says Francis Ngannou, and you see Rogan look at him and go, shit. It looks at him. He slaughtered his name through the whole fight. Every round had a different name for him.
But now we know it. Now we all know it. And maybe this is going to be Nasrat and Jared's night. Looking at his fights, he's definitely a veteran. He's been around. He's been in the UFC and around the UFC for quite a while. The fact that I don't know his name, I think says more about me. Now he's got a back and forth record. His last fight was a loss to Dan Hooker. It was a decision back in September on the Volkanovski Ortega card.
Oh, I know he is.
Yeah,
I watched the fight.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Green still got him.
Yeah.
Wasn't that impressed with that fight. He did good. Not good enough, but he did good. And Green, I just think, is going to take it with experience. And yeah.
Simple. All right. So moving on from that, we've got Kyler Phillips and Marcelo Rojo in the bantamweight division. I don't know much about these gentlemen, other than it looks like old Kyler is a brown belt, but the UFC 135 division is getting pretty interesting right now.
It's a stacked division. It's always been a stacked division, but it's just getting to that next point of what do these guys have to do to beat each other? Because there is some amazing guys in that division.
Oh, there's I mean, we're talk about it for a quick second. You've got Dominic Cruz, you've got Jose Aldo, you've got TJ Dillashaw just in that division, and they're not the champion. So there are some fights to make, and then there are some fights that will, I think, make sense. But I think that this is gonna be a fight that decides who legends are going to be fighting next. Now, TJ Dillashaw, my understanding is he has been promised a title fight. I don't know. I know he just had knee surgery, so I don't know if that's something that's going to happen immediately. Maybe
I'm glad Cruz is still there, still doing his thing. Huge fan of his. His footwork is fucking amazing.
Oh yeah. So in that bantamweight division, then yeah, I think it's a wide open it's wide open. I think that the UFC 135 bantamweight division is wide open. But that I don't know who either of these guys are, again, says more about me.
That division is a smorgasbord of abilities. You have some of the best strikers. You have some guys that are great ground. You have guys that are cardio fanatic fiends. And it just makes the bantamweight division, when it first started, I was like, okay, it is. But I was more into the heavyweights. Now those bantamweights have definitely proved to me they steal the show.
So, I mean, when this fight happens, whoever wins, neither of them are getting immediate title shots.
Next level mini fight.
You've got Aljamain Sterling scheduled to fight Petr Yan. TJ Dillashaw is going to be fighting for that belt. Man, this is going to be really. Neither of these. What's interesting is neither of these guys are in the top 15. But it seems like it's, I don't know why this is where
this
it is
could
on
be
the card. Yeah, this is an opportunity for these little guys, I guess. Good for them. God bless them. Get us to learn your names. And ultimately, like, that's what you want. You want that. You want us to learn your names. Luckily, these guys have pretty simple names. And not like Vandara. Okay, so moving on. We got Jared Cannonier and Derek Brunson. So, like, we are really getting into the meat of this fight. I've been pontificating on this fight. Pontificating. That's a big word. All right. I've been spending a lot of time thinking about this fight and what happens depending on who wins, and how they win is interesting to me. But the most interesting thing to me is what happens after the winner wins. Okay. Now Derek Brunson and Jared Cannonier haven't fought yet. So this is one of the few fights in that division right now that means something that isn't like, I mean, it's not a rematch. It's not a fight we're seeing again. I don't necessarily know why we're watching. I know why we're watching Israel Adesanya and Robert Whittaker, and we'll get to that. But this is
Whittaker.
Well, we got to go back to Brunson and Cannoneer. I think that.
Oh my.
Okay, so the implications are interesting because if Brunson wins, it means he has to eventually, like, he has to rematch Arasanya. But if Jared Cannonier wins, if Jared Cannonier wins, I don't know that it actually means anything. The more I think about it, so Robert Whittaker, neither of these fights matter if Israel Adesanya loses on Saturday. Or loses on 271. Everything depends on Israel Adesanya winning. So if Robert Whittaker starches Israel Adesanya or he grinds him out to a decision, Israel Adesanya is still going to get an immediate rematch, right? So in order for this Jared Cannonier fight, Derek Brunson fight to really have like immediate serious implications means that Israel Adesanya has to win on Saturday, in my opinion. Otherwise, I mean, you still have exciting fights in that division, and you still have some really good serious fights in that division. You have Kamaru Usman talking about moving up because he's been so dominant in the welterweight division. That an immediate fight with Derek Brunson or Jared Cannonier immediately makes sense because I don't imagine that for what Dana. I don't know that you're going to see Israel Adesanya and Kamaru Usman fight anytime soon. But I will say that a Derek Brunson Kamaru Usman fight makes sense. A Jared Cannoneer fight with Kamaru Usman makes sense. There are a lot of good fights for Kamaru Usman at middleweight if Israel Adesanya isn't the champion.
All right, we're gonna do this a little different this time because we're both, I know, torn about this fight. I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3. Throw the name out of who you pick.
Are we talking about Brunson or Cannoneer? Or are we talking about Cannoneer, Brunson, or are we talking about Israel Adesanya and
Brunson, Cannoneer.
Brunson Cannoneer? All right.
Hold on.
God, they're both so good. All right.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Brunson.
Cannoneer. Oh, we're drawn. How did? The sad part is, I could go either way with this. Both fighters, exciting fights. Both of them have a lot of the ability to end the fight quick, the ability to draw the fight out. It's gonna be a fight that is gonna be fun either way.
See, I don't know. I think it has there's the opportunity for it to be fun. There absolutely is.
But they could stall it out.
I think I go with Brunson because I see that Brunson knows that this is his shot at a title, right? I think that he goes full professional and uses all of his grappling to make it dominant on the ground. I don't see him standing with Jared Cannonier. I think that makes it risky for him, just as risky one way or the other. But I think that Jared Cannonier has a really, really heavy strength in that division. He's a guy that came down from heavyweight. He fought in the same division as Francis Ngannou. We could have hypothetically seen Jared Cannonier fight Francis Ngannou. That's a thing that at one point could have happened in the universe. However, Jared Cannonier is now a middleweight, but he knocked out heavyweights. He was a guy who Glover Teixeira had to use his weight, you had to use his wrestling and his experience to hold him down and win his fight against Jared Cannonier, because Jared Cannonier was a heavyweight who knocked out heavyweights, and now he's a middleweight. And so he's still going to be really strong. He's still going to be really fast. He's going to have incredible cardio because he's not carrying around all of that extra weight. He's probably going to be about 200 something pounds on Saturday night when he makes the walk into the octagon. But Derek Brunson is probably going to be around that as well. And I think that Derek Brunson is going to lean on his experience. He's going to, and that's where I think that he's going to, if he wins by grinding it out. He doesn't win by standing and banging. Because I think that if you play that game with Jared Cannonier, your brain is going to turn off for a second. For a few seconds, you're going to be dead in the skull.
It's kind of like guys that want to play that game with Derek Lewis. You don't play that game with guys with that much power.
It's a stupid game to play. It's dumb. Don't play that game. Don't play that game. And that's not to say that Derek Brunson can't knock people out, but it's not a game you want to play with Jared Cannonier. So I think that it'll be a matter of wrestling. It'll be a matter of grappling. But at the same time, Jared Cannonier is a big, strong guy. So I imagine that Derek Brunson is going to grind it out. We'll see. It'll be 15 minutes of like takedown and ground and pound.
Okay.
But even then, it's still a dangerous. It's everywhere that you can get hit by Jared Cannonier is a dangerous place. And if you're Jared Cannonier, you also know that a win almost guarantees you a fight, a title shot.
Mm-hmm.
Unless
Whittaker wins. It's a fun day and age to be looking as a fighter of where you're going to go, because it depends on 3 other fights. There's no like, yep, you win, you get a title shot. It's like, well, if you win and he wins and he loses, then you get a title shot.
Yeah, there's a crazy math in it. But now that we have our picks down, do you have anything else that you want to throw in on Cannoneer and Brunson?
I think with a fight that, from my pick, Cannoneer, I think what he's going to do is he's been hopefully been training for like the takedown defense, keep it on the feet, keep him at a distance, get up, get him with some jabs, get him rocked, and then hopefully just land the shot that he needs. I want to see him and Arasanya go at it. I want to see if Arasanya can be elusive and get in and get his shots without Cannoneer getting to land one of his. That's why I picked Cannoneer.
If Cannoneer can connect, it can be a really, really tough night. And I think that if you're Jared Cannoneer's team, you probably bank on Brunson leaning on his wrestling. So you're going to work on that.
Yep.
Man, it's an exciting fight. It has every possibility of being
a great fight or
a great fight.
All made.
It could be great or it could suck, but I'm leaning towards being a really good fight. But I think I'm sticking with Brunson. I'm going to stick with Brunson. And I've gone back and forth on this. So like I'll probably change my mind tomorrow after I've gotten some rest. But for right now, at this particular second, the more thought I put into it, I'm going to say Derek Brunson wins by going to what he's going to be dominant at.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm saying Cannoneer by knockout, just do what he does.
Roger that. All right.
Next fight.
This one's for all the marbles. Well, no, I'm sorry. This is not for all the marbles. We still have the heavyweight fight that could be the greatest heavyweight fight of all time. Whoa. I'm sorry, Mr. Whittaker. I'm sorry, Mr. Arasanya. We'll get to you later. Holy shit. I'm sorry, Dave. We almost overlooked Captain Hotballs.
Mr. America, my balls are hot.
I gotta take a shit.
Who's he knocking out? Fighting.
Well, he's fighting Taya Tavasa, whose last name I'm butchering, I'm sure, who, there is an entire continent of people that are probably saying the exact opposite of what you're saying. So we need to recognize that their guy is not a little guy, and he hits really, really hard too.
Yeah, he does. But I have learned with my years of watching, I never bet against my balls are hot.
No.
I can't.
No.
I voted for president, just saying.
Yeah. I'm okay with all of that. I love Derek Lewis. All right.
Wearing a suit up, his boxers out there. Mr. President, you forgot your pants. Balls are hot.
Derek Lewis is a great American. He's lots of fun. He makes the internet wonderful. He makes Instagram wonderful. I can't say enough about Derek Lewis, and bless his heart, he's a national treasure. Derek Lewis is everything right with America.
On the hold on, Mount Rushmore, I wouldn't be opposed.
I want to know why it's not being discussed.
I should put that on Instagram. Derek Lewis and Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. You know what? Get rid of one of them. Like, get rid of like.
No, I think you should make it better. Get a big inflatable version of him and put it next to the rest of their faces. Inflatable, so you can wash it off, take it down, keep it clean.
So
keep them from.
So I don't know if you've ever read 1984 or seen the movie or anything like that, but one of the ideas in it is there is no history, there is no history, there is no future, there is only now, and the state cannot be wrong. I'm saying we go full idiocracy. We have America vote on NBC between reruns of How I Met Your Mother. Who gets wiped off of Mount Rushmore and replaced with Derek Lewis?
I mean, so much happiness to think about it.
Or you know what? Maybe we just throw him on there extra. We just have Derek Lewis and
throw him on the top of the mountain, so they fly over it. You see Derek Lewis just staring at you. He's guarding their back.
Oh man, yeah, and you have a cave system that goes all the way down to like the steaming cavern down below.
Yes, this fight. I'm gonna pick Derek Lewis, but if he doesn't keep his hands up, he might have a dream about what the fight could have been like.
I think it's a dangerous fight for both of them, and
they're both so.
I heard Chael Sonnen say that this is one of those fights that's just exciting and it doesn't necessarily have a lot of context or some such thing. Maybe I'm probably misquoting the great Chael, but I'll say that like the last cat that got a win over Derek Lewis fought for the belt. All right. So again, like the fight before this, Jared Cannonier and Derek Brunson, this is a fight that potentially does have some real implications. Now, we have to remember there's a lot of politics going on with Francis Ngannou right now and the heavyweight division, but we do know without a doubt that he's going to be out for 9 months with a knee injury. So at the very least, he is out for 9 months with a knee injury. So will that open up another interim title shot? I don't think so. The UFC heavyweight champion does have a history, Francis pointed out, of fighting about once a year. So I think the UFC was probably expecting he would fight more. He didn't. He's the champion. He does that. But if he's out for at least 9 months with that knee surgery, so this fight, the implication is if someone has a really heavy win, they could, if they can make the Francis deal, they could get a shot at Francis. Otherwise, you're going to have to do another interim belt, and you're probably going to, want Cyril Gane in there. He's probably going to be the first person they call. But I think this should be what decides that fight.
Mm-hmm.
This should be, if you're going to do an interim title fight for the heavyweight division, I think you call it now. If you know Francis is going to be out for at least 9 months, and this is for all the marbles. This gives you a long time to train and prepare to fight the heavyweight champion of the world or be the heavyweight champion of the world. I mean, really, this is what that fight should be. If you are thinking about stripping Francis Ngannou of the belt, then this is the fight that you want to make for the interim title, because that would be fucking awesome. As a fan, that would be fucking awesome.
So this fight, we're both going with Lewis.
I would be un-American if I did.
I agree.
I
had to have just been dad.
The only thing that upsets me about this fight is that it's not for the interim title.
It might be. We still have time. You never know.
You're right. We've got about a week plus for this to happen. All right. So next fight. This one is an interesting one. This is a rematch.
Okay.
Robert Whittaker, Israel Adesanya. I'm going to go with mathematics when I make my pick. Like I know who I have in this. Who do you have? We can do it like last time where it's like 3, 2, 1 and we just spit it out.
I'm going Arasanya.
I'm going with Adesanya too. I'm going with mathematics on this.
You go with, because I know you know mathematics, the percentage of the fighters that win the rematches. I got to go with Arasanya, not just because the math, but in the first fight, watching it, I don't think Arasanya played his full hand, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I think he had more there, and this time he's coming out just to put the exclamation point on it. I don't see it going to judges. I see Adesanya trying to find a way to end it in a way that doesn't require a third rematch, doesn't require any hesitation or wondering. I see it ending in a way that kind of just ends this whole feud. And I don't see it in the first round. I see it in the end of the second or early third. I don't see it going to a fourth or fifth. I'm not saying how because it's really anybody's guess how. What do you think?
Probably, if I imagine a third round stoppage. I mean,
Do you see it by strikes or by submission?
so I'm gonna have to go with probably either a referee stoppage from strikes like a TKO, or just a solid knockout. I think that this is I think Israel Adesanya is he's like a video game character. He's figured out that his body is a video game character and he's playing Tekken. Like he's on a whole other plane of existence. And I think that at 185 there's not really a whole lot of challenges that he has left. Now, that's what makes the last middleweight fight interesting. All right, you have Derek Brunson and Robert Whittaker. Now, Derek Brunson wants that rematch, and Israel Adesanya doesn't want to give it to him. So
I'm thinking that Whittaker gets honestly, I hate to say, because I don't ever wish this on nobody, but I hope he gets slept. And then Arasanya is going to go on to face Cannoneer. And that's what I'm hoping for, because I want to see if Arasanya can be elusive enough to land his shots, but not give Cannoneer the chance to land his. And that fight has potential here all over it.
Yeah, well, that's a fireworks fight, for sure. And I think that the fight on Saturday with Whittaker and Adesanya will also be a fireworks fight. But I think that Israel Adesanya is, he's from Mars, man. Like he's just from Mars. So I think that Israel has his number. But I think that if Derek Brunson, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I like the style bender, because to me it's like Matrix. He bends our world around him. The way he gets in and out, the way he lands shots at angles, the way he avoids taking damage. So much time I've seen him in fights where guys are throwing those heavy hands and he's just like looking at the punches while they're going by him like it's nothing. I'm like, dude, that guy just swung fucking quick and you dodge that shit. And he does it without trying. Like, it's not like he's like, whoa, that was close. He's like, super slow motion. That's your fist. Yep, you tried to hit me. How?
Okay.
How?
So then let's talk about that, because this fight could absolutely go the other way if Israel Adesanya does do the Anderson Silva matrix movement that he's done in the past. He could get slept. He could absolutely get slept. This is still Bobby Knuckles is still a dangerous fighter. So you can't take a whole lot away from him, but I think Israel Adesanya has his number.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
But I think that if Brunson rematches Adesanya, I think that he has an opportunity that he probably didn't have before. And that, I mean, he took Israel Adesanya's best shot. He lost, but I think that he's learned enough from that.
Okay, well, let's flip it a little bit here. What if my guy wins? How do you see Cannoneer versus Arasanya?
I don't know how good Jared Cannonier's grappling is. Now, I know he trained out of Legacy in Anchorage, home of Jordan Contra, home of Jesse Hull, home of some really, really bad mother lovers. And I'm sure they all love their moms, every one of them. But I know that Israel Adesanya comes from an Atos Jiu-Jitsu background. That's Atos is Andre Galvao, world champion, but I believe he's a purple belt. So I don't know. I think he can't stand there. He can't fucking stand there. I know that. I know Jared Cannonier can't stand in front of Israel Adesanya. I know that Jared Cannonier is going to have to get his hands on him. He's going to have to pull him down. He's going to have to make it ugly and grimy. He's going to have to use all of that strength to make things really hard for Israel Adesanya, in my opinion. I think that the more I think about it, I think that if Jared Cannonier wins, it's going to be on top of Israel Adesanya, ground and pounding him. Or he's going to get injured on the way in. He's going to get he's going to get some damage to that front leg. If he tries to stand, Israel Adesanya is so fucking good. But like we talked about before with Jared Cannonier, that man was a heavyweight. He knocked out heavyweights. So now he doesn't have all of that extra weight carrying around. I think that he's a much more dangerous, much scarier human being. I think that if he gets his hands on Israel Adesanya, it's going to be a painful night. Yeah. In that, I think it favors Fight Club mentality, Jared Cannonier in it, willing to die. Jared Cannonier can win that fight, but it has to be his hands on Israel Adesanya, and it has to be his ground and pound. It has to be using his strength that he got from being a heavyweight.
With all this being said, folks that are watching this, me and Bill will both admit every fight on this card can, with ease, whoop our asses.
Oh, and make fun of us while they do it. I don't know if you got a chance to watch the Kevin Holland video. So Kevin Holland, who is a Travis Luter black belt out of Fort Worth, Texas, had an internet troll say, shit like, "Hey, I know you're a black belt, but I can submit you. I can submit you. I can submit you." And Kevin Holland submitted it. And Kevin Holland was like talking shit the whole time, which is great because it's what he does. But he submitted this dude. Every one of the fighters on this card can do that with ease. Will beat the dog shit out of us like it's funny. I've accepted that in my friendships with fighters, is every single one of them can kick my ass. And I've accepted that. I know that.
Yes. So if we've offended anybody, we apologize. This is our own thoughts in our heads. So
Yeah, you can totally beat us up. I mean, please don't beat us up, but the fighters, if they wanted to, I'm sure they know that they could beat us up.
If you're gonna do that, beat us up both at once, so we can both share the shame together.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'll feel shame with you. When you feel shame, I'll be proud. I got this guy got to beat my ass. If Derek Lewis wants to fight me and you 2-on-1, we're losing epically. But
man, I don't think we could beat him at anything. Like, I don't think we could beat him at the UFC video game. Like,
I bet him at tic-tac-toe.
I don't, man.
I beat Otter 8 out of 10 times. I'm getting pretty good.
Maybe tic-tac-toe. It's a maybe, but I don't know. I think that like
gotta wrestle him. You got to Indian leg wrestle Derek Lewis.
he's a large man. He's got really long, strong legs. I lose at everything to him. I couldn't beat him at a thumb war. He'd fuck me up. Like, if it's a feat of strength, I'm dead. I'm fucked. I'm beat up. Derek Lewis kicks my ass. I like, and I'm sure even like any of the UFC games, he beats me at that. I'm sure he gets challenged to that, like by his kids. I'm sure like his kids are like, Dad, I'll kick your ass, UFC 4.
Yeah, not real life. No, UFC 4.
Yeah.
The question is, does it play him? Make him beat himself?
Man, could you allow yourself to be anyone else? If you are ex-fighter, right? Like any fighter in the middleweight division, and your fighter is in UFC 4, how often do you play the game to prepare for your opponent? Now, if I I know it's getting late, I got shit to do. You got shit to do, maybe. But Max Holloway said something about preparing for his opponent by playing the UFC game. Like the artificial intelligence in that must be that good that top fighters can adapt on the fly by playing or watching this game get played out on a hard setting.
Let's try it now.
I mean, maybe that's the play here. Maybe we could figure out who's going to win by putting PlayStation UFC 4 on a hard setting and letting the fight play out 5 out of 10 times.
Your game any day this week, I'll have my employee bring his PS5 down. We'll hook it up. We have the new UFC game, and we can do the whole fight card.
I wonder what the accuracy would be.
I would laugh if it was actually pinpoint accurate of how they win. I'm down to try this.
Okay, but hear me out. If it was accurate, like within like by method and round, right? Like by knockout in the second round, not time or anything like that, would you be more or less convinced that we lived in a simulation?
More. This game is.
So yeah. I'm not going to be able to make it over, but like you have people that love you enough to come to your store to plug in their PlayStation and see how this plays out. I say you do it.
I'll do it, and I'll write down who wins what way, and I'll let you know. Tomorrow at the shop, that's what I'm doing.
Okay. All right. Now, folks, if folks wanted to learn, do we want to talk about your store real quick? Give your store a shout out.
More important than when's it getting posted?
I don't know. So let me stop real quick.